Okay, it is week 3 discussion time. And in week 3 discussion, we are looking at solving for variables. Okay, it might seem a little tricky at first and it seems a little convoluted at first, but don't stress out. We're going to look at where all this comes from and why this is helpful. The formula that we're going to be importing is this formula here, the simple interest formula. The simple interest formula is I is equal to principal times rate times time, okay? And notice that that formula is actually also in this main formula down here, principal times rate times time, okay? So in this week, that's kind of what we're going to be focusing on. Okay, so we're going to be talking about investing money. And when you invest money, it is called the principal. And the principal is the amount of money that you start with, okay? So the principal is this capital P. That's how much you are starting with, okay? So basically, we're going to look at how much money will you have at the end of an investment period. And P is the amount that you started with, and I will be the interest, okay? So it's how much you're earning on your principal. So your total amount will be what you started with, your principal, plus your interest, and that will give you your total amount. So what I've done here is I've taken the same formula, and instead of starting with P plus I, I'm starting with A. P plus I equals A is the same thing as A equals P plus I. So this is the formula that you are seeing in your discussion, okay? And I is your interest. Interest is how much you're making on what you are investing. And the interest has its own little formula that's at the top of your discussion, and it is P times R times T. P is your principal, rate, okay? Your rate is generally given to you as a percentage. So instead of putting the percentage in, please divide by 100 and put in the decimal value, okay? So this is your principal, what you started with. So these two numbers should be the same. This would be your rate as a decimal, and this is your time in years. Okay, for this discussion, note what your last name is and choose the scenario that applies to you. So for example, my last name is Radke, which means that I will jump down to last name is R. So this is my scenario down here. I will choose a rate, I will choose a time, and I will solve for the principal. Okay, so I will choose a rate, I will choose a time, and I will solve for my principal. Okay, so I need to choose a rate at what I'm going to invest at. I'm going to choose a time in years of how long I will invest for. The other thing I need to decide is how much money do I want at the end of this period of investing? So let's say I want, let's say I need $15,000 for school. So I'm going to I'm going to choose my amount. Every single scenario will be choosing the amount you want at the end. So I'll choose $15,000. I will choose a time of, I need this in 7 years, okay? And I will choose a rate, let's say, of 5%. Keep your rates under 10%. Right now, rates are between 1 and 7%, something like that. So I'm going to choose a rate of 5%. Oops. And let me put it in first as a percentage, okay? And then I'm going to divide by 100. So to get my percent to a decimal, I take the 5, I divide by 100, and I end up with 0.05 as my rate as a decimal, okay? Whoops. So I'm going to go ahead and take my A value down here, and that's going to go in to my A value in the formula here. My t equals 7 is going to go in for my t value right here. And my decimal 0.05 is my rate, and that's going to go right in here. So let's rewrite this. Okay, so my A is 15,000, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in here, 15,000, and that is equal to my P plus P times 0.05 times my time, which is 7. Now, each one of you is going to have a different variable to solve for. In my situation, I'm going to be solving for P. Okay, that's my variable, and I'm going to just get you started because I want to see what you guys have up your sleeves. Okay, but in this situation, one of the things that I would do first is I would simplify by multiplying these two together. Okay, so I want to show you a little trick of how you can simplify when you have two variables that are the same and you're adding them together. So I'm going to rewrite this with the multiplication of the 0.05 times 7. So I have 15,000 equals P plus P times 0.05 times 7 is 0.35. All right. Now, it's a little tricky when there's a P and a P plus, okay? So notice what I'm going to do here. I have one P here and I have 0.035 P here, okay? And you might see it better if I rewrite it. I just want you to conceptually understand the math and not, so it's not like magic. It's not. It's like I have one P here, okay? I have a whole P here, plus I have 0.35 P here, okay? So the truth is I can add these up. Since they're the same last name of P, I can add them together. Okay, so I'm going to squeeze this in at the bottom. 15,000 is equal to, and if I have one potato plus 0.035 potatoes, I have 1.035 potatoes. All right, I'm going to stop there. For this discussion, start by declaring the amount you want at the end of your investment. Then look at your variables. For your last name, what variables are you to choose and what variables are you to solve for? Okay, so identify those. Write out your equation. Okay, that could go at the top of your post. Then write out the variables that you are given or you're choosing, and then find the variable that you need to solve for. In my case, I needed to solve for the principal. After you have identified your formula and your variables and you've plugged them in, go ahead and type in to the discussion that equation, okay? And then start solving for your given variable. I'm going to jump into the discussions and see how everyone's doing this week.